I mean, everyone says that there's no freedom in the Muslim world, in the Arab world, because they say that we have dictators. I mean, it's debatable whether or not we have dictators. In some countries, maybe they do, some countries they don't. But either way, that's the impression people have. So they think that we have no freedom. But actually, if people are really being honest, and if they've experienced it, then they'll see that there's actually zero difference between the freedom that is enjoyed by most people in their daily lives, whether they live in the Arab world, in the Muslim world, or in the West. You don't have more freedom than we do in the Muslim world, and we don't have less freedom than you in the West. Here or there, people carry on their lives more or less undisturbed, their regular daily lives. Only if they want to protest or to be intensely politically active will they ever face any restrictions or repression. And that's the same everywhere in the world. That's not unique to the Arab world. It's not unique to the Muslim world. It's not unique to the global South. And that only ever affects a minority of people, because only a minority of people are ever intensely politically active. I've lived half my life in the West. I grew up in the West. And I've lived the other half of my life, the second half of my life, in the Muslim world, in a variety of different countries. And I can tell you that there's qualitatively no difference in the level of freedom that you have in your normal daily life, except maybe quantitatively. You tend to have more free time in the Muslim world than in the West. But restrictions on freedom, whether that's freedom of speech, freedom of expression, or freedom of assembly or protest or what have you, restrictions tend to be imposed based on the impact of what you're doing. If there's no impact, then there are no restrictions. And again, this is the same everywhere, whether it's in the West or in the East, or whether it's in the global North or in the global South, or in a democratic country or an authoritarian country. The difference, though, is that in the West, it's really important to you to emphasize repeatedly how free you are. You have to tell yourselves that to make you feel special and unique and superior. But the freedom you have is not special. It's more or less universal all around the world, with only maybe a few exceptions of particularly repressive regimes. And like I've said, the freedom that you have is derived primarily from the fact that your freedom is of no impact. The moment you have impact, you lose your freedom. Your freedom is contingent upon your irrelevance. And if your freedom in any way, even in a minor way, interferes with the system of power, why the full fury of that system will be unleashed against you. And in that regard, the United States is no different from Syria or Egypt or anywhere else that you like to call autocratic. The only difference is maybe that in the United States or in the West generally, the power structure just has greater diversity of weapons to use against you. They have the advantage of a more sophisticated arsenal of ways to destroy you. And this is because in the United States or in the West, they in fact have an even greater degree of control over their society than exists anywhere else in the world.